Hey everyone, this is Robert here. This is a different video that I'm going to be doing than the normal game show vlog. I've actually am a big video game fan, so I figured I'd take this time to tell a little story. About 6 months ago, I got myself a Retron 3 console, which is, I think, probably the best of the best of the clone consoles, because it allows you to play NES, Super Nintendo, and Sega Genesis games with the added comfort of being able to play with the original controllers, which makes it miles better than the FC3 Plus, where you have those lame Genesis knockoff controllers. Plus, you don't have the delay for the NES games. Anyways, with that being said, I decided to pick up a few Sega Genesis titles, and by few, I mean get two big lots of games. I think my total now is up to around 50 or so. And with a further, I think, 15 coming in the mail shortly, and I only paid like $15 for it. I mean, it's worth it to get Castle of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse, and a couple others. Anyways, with that being said, I figured I'd take this time to show off the games that I got, and if you guys like this, maybe I will do more in the future. And just a little side note, I do plan on doing more video game reviews during the summer when I am out of school, and also will continue to work on game show garbage in the future. Right now, this month, it's being ran by Jim Williams, and he's doing a fine, good job. Maybe I should pay him. Did I pay him? I don't remember. Anyways, let's get started here. Got a bunch of games, and just grab some out of here. I know I have duplicates. Okay. Yes, I do have duplicates, so I'll start with a duplicate pair. Street Fighter 2 Special Championship Edition, and I do have another copy as well. One I picked up at a random video game store. I won't mention the name because the people who are running it were complete and utter douchebags. I'll explain later. And this one that's not marked, I got off of a lot of Craigslist, which is very impressive. Great games, and I personally think until Super Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo, that was the best Street Fighter 2 you could get. I'm just going to grab a bunch and just hold them and then bring them up. Next one I have is the Incredible Hulk from '94. Didn't play this one much. It's a pretty decent game. I'm going to have to play more of it in the future. And I think this might be one of the last Ocean games. The Adventures of Mighty Max. If anybody remembers this cartoon, you'll know how whiny and pathetic Max is. As a matter of fact, we all probably just wanted to be Norman, who had a big-ass sword, who was calm, cool, protective, and all that stuff. But instead of kicking ass, he had to protect this whiny bastard. The game itself, it's... I don't know how I describe this. It's basically a... If you played like Real Monsters, it's kind of like that, except worse. And while we're talking about cartoons, Phantom 2040, another interesting game, kind of in the same vein as... I don't know how to describe this one either. Basically, you just go around and you shoot stuff. And have to die a bunch of times because Phantom 2040, the character itself just lurked in the shadows and was a the silent type when it came to killing. And Spence kind of had to, especially when his costume was nothing but purple. Show was okay, a lot better than Mighty Max. Next one up is Cool Spot I picked up. I like Cool Spot. It's a fun game, and I played it a long time ago. I do need to get the energy to play it again all the way through. I know Irate Gamer did a review on Cool Spot. To be honest, though, that's all I'll say about the Irate Gamer, because it's a fucking tool bag or toolbox. Actually, I will say this: if AIDS and anthrax had a child, it'd still be more popular than the Irate Gamer. Ironically enough, it'd still be more than the Irate Gamer, still more popular than Michael Cole. As a matter of fact, Michael Cole could also use a Mortal Kombat 3 style fatality. Maybe Kano's skeleton rip would be perfect for him. Basically, Mortal Kombat 3, I prefer the Super Nintendo version because of the sound. Controls are good as well. But if you can find the Genesis version, that's good too, but honestly, I'd rather prefer the Super Nintendo version. And the thing about the Genesis is they made a lot of sports games. I'm not complaining, those sports games are fun. This is an okay one, made by EA. PGA Tour Golf 2, I think Tour Golf 3 was better. But then again, the good thing about this game, you could actually have graphic versions of Fuzzy Zeller and Tom Kite, and see, this is before Tiger Woods, Greg Norman, and Jack Nicklaus, and various other luminaries that people don't remember because golf really didn't get as big as it was before Tiger. And Tiger is dead to rights, career-wise as well. Doing the cartridges first, then I'll get to the boxes. There was also a lot, like I said, a lot of sports games. This was probably one of the lamest. NBA All-Star Challenge, based off an arcade game. Played. I hate this game mainly because when you shoot free throws, you have to wait for little carts to be dead center in the little square. I guess that's sort of like direction on where to have the ball go in order to score, I guess. Have to bounce off the backboard and into the basket. Plus, the game really isn't that good, but then again, it's made by Flying Edge. It's a division of Acclaim. Speaking of sports titles, Prime Time with Deion Sanders. Yes, not a big fan of this game either, although it does play well. It's an okay game, but there were better football games out there for the Sega Genesis, like Joe Montana Sports Talk Football 1 and 2. I also think the Madden series on the Genesis is good as well, even though I don't have one yet. Speaking of classic Genesis titles, Golden Axe. What more can be said about Golden Axe? However, I think later the games did get a little easier and a lot better. Besides, more enemies for you to ride on is always better. Speaking of Acclaim again, Judge Dredd. Mediocre movie, mediocre video game. Sadly, no Sylvester Stallone style one-liners in this game saying, "I am the law!" And a 2-for-1 for this one. Movie titles again: Jurassic Park and the Rampage Edition. Didn't get too far in either one of these games. I haven't played them much, but from what I heard, these are the superior versions to what you found on the Nintendo consoles. I kind of disagree. I got a lot of fun out of the NES version. Didn't get a lot of fun out of the Game Boy version. Haven't played the Super Nintendo version. But despite what people say, if you find the NES version of Jurassic Park, I do suggest picking it up. It's a lot of fun. Even though the Tyrannosaurus Rex battle on level 2 when you're trying to save Lex can be a bit assy at times. Because once you have the T-Rex almost completed, Lex will conveniently run wander towards the T-Rex's mouth and get herself eaten, thus wiping out all of your work. Thanks, Lex. I guess to try to appeal to the younger crowd, the Sega company made Sega Club with games for younger children, and this is one of them in Richard Scarry's Busy Town Adventures. No, it's just Richard Scarry's Busy Town. This isn't really much of a game. You know, you click on something and you move the cursor to something, you hit a button, and something fun happens. I would call this a game, per se. This is more of like a distraction tool for 2 to 3 year olds. Because 2 to 3, they're probably too young to play Sonic, according to Sega's eyes. And if that was your kid's first game, I feel sorry for you. Even though I talked highly about Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat 2 I think is the best Mortal Kombat there ever was, except for probably the new one, which is good in its own right. I prefer Mortal Kombat 2 on the Super Nintendo due to sound, but if you find the Genesis version, you can't go wrong either. Can't believe the guy paid $8 for it. More sports games. I think this came out before Primetime with Deion Sanders, NFL 95. I know some people will correct me, saying that Primetime with Deion Sanders came before he dropped out. Still prefer the Sports Talk Football series. Still prefer Madden over this, but a serviceable game nonetheless. Another classic game, eSWAT, Send You Under Siege. You can find this. I love this game. I think it's an underrated title. Sure, some of the difficulty at the later levels can be very frustrating. However, I really prefer this game over a few of the other classic titles. You can find this game on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection for the Xbox 360 and the PS3. I really recommend it. Really recommend that because you can probably pick that up now for about $20. It's just really fun to play, and you won't be disappointed on that either. But I prefer, having the actual cartridges. Primal Rage for the Genesis. This is crap. The arcade version wasn't that much better. And they took some of the stuff out to meet ESRB procedures. You can't eat the humans a la Rampage. And some of the moves were edited out, and some of the gore was toned down as well. I didn't find much enjoyment in that game. Earthworm Jim 2. Probably my favorite sequel. Probably one of my favorite games. I prefer this one over to Earthworm Jim. The first one because I have trouble on a certain level. Maybe the bubble level. Either way, you really can't go wrong with any Earthworm Jim. Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis version is fine. Now, I do have dupes of these. I'll explain more in detail. Bulls Blazers for the NBA playoffs. A really good, really decent basketball game made by EA. EA always usually takes care of their sports titles unless it's Madden currently. And to show off something, I also have this complete in box. I also think with the instruction manual as well to go along with it, which is always very fun. What I also like about this as well, you get... This game also had certain inserts. Like, for example, if you need to get a clue from any of your EA games, there's a little card there that gives you a number, 1-800-245-4525, or 1-800-245-HINT. No, I'm sorry, that's to order. That's to order games. To get tips is 1-800-288-HINT. And honestly, I think that might be a number for a gay sex hotline now. I really don't know. And the number is set on the back, 1-800-245-4525. I really don't know. Maybe that's a number for Popeel Pocket Fisherman or something. Also here you had a card to register your video games. I don't like people who register their video games, especially during the cartridge days, because these things were really built to last. You could probably, I think, Rinry Game did a video, pretty much putting a whole bunch of cartridges through a major stress test, and they really came out good. I think short of putting a bullet through a cartridge is nothing's gonna harm the game. Yeah, I have Shaq Fu. I prefer the Genesis version to the Super Nintendo version, more characters, and the music is a little more tolerable in this version. I also have, if I can find it, right here. I also have the box version of Shaq Fu. That's what I don't like after like 94 when they have games for the Genesis. It's all black and white. What I kind of like here is there's... I gotta hope I just didn't rip the insert. I love these inserts for games that you could buy. An Action Brain Drain. You can win 3 Genesis games from Electronic Arts if you enter the hotline. They have stuff like, I already mentioned Shaq Fu. There's also Urban Strike, Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City, and Road Rash 3. There was Urban Strike, Desert Strike, and Jungle Strike. And honestly, I think Road Rash 3 is probably the best out of those. Even though Corn Shack did put up a video of Michael Jordan Chaos in Windy City and it looked good. I'm going to have to track down a copy of that myself. 2 more loose cartridges, then we'll get to the boxes. Just can't go wrong with Sonic and Knuckles, especially if you have a copy of Sonic 2 or Sonic 3. I kind of wish they would have tweaked it a little bit to make Sonic 1 compatible with this, and maybe it's for the better, because probably playing with Knuckles in the Labyrinth Zone would probably be really painful to do. And one of the best Castlevania titles of all time, Castlevania Bloodlines, the only Castlevania title that Sega ever got. And it's a really damn good game. I also like the, you can play as 2 different characters with 2 different weapons, for a different adventure and go through different parts of the level. I gotta say, I was really impressed with Castlevania Bloodlines, and if I ever do put videos up, that'll probably be one of the first ones I do. Yay for boxes! What do we got here? Okay, this is a good one, Fatal Labyrinth. I haven't got that far into it, I kind of got lost, but once I figure out what to do, I'll probably do a lot better. Love Dungeon Crawlers are always really fun for the Genesis. There was quite a few of them. And Beyond Oasis and Fatal Labyrinth were probably high up on my list. World Championship Soccer. This is the Sega Classics version. This was released in '92. Their original game came out in '89. Not really a big fan of soccer, but some of the games are fun. But this is okay, but I'd rather prefer later titles like Mario Super Strikers for the GameCube. Arch Rivals, this is a better version than the NES version. This is really faithful to the arcade version with 8 characters to select instead of 6. Many people prefer to play as Mohawk or Tyrone. I'd rather play as Vinny for some odd reason. Another Sega Club game, the Bernstein Bears Camping Adventure. To be perfectly blunt, at least this is a much better game than Richard Scarry's Busy Town. I guess at least it is a game. Also something funny that I've noticed here. You can play as Brother Bear, Sister Bear, or both on 5 fun-packed levels of puzzles, secret prizes, bonus levels, and spooky varmints. Yeehaw. Gather fish, butterflies, diamonds, and honey to unlock hidden trails back to the campsite. Collect all of the goodies and visit the haunted forest. Ooh. I don't know who you'd face in that final level. Bot bees, birds, wolves, and other tricky critters with a high-flying bare bottom bounce. What? Bare bottom bounce? Never mind. Damn hair. Sonic 2, not much to be said about Sonic 2. By the way, if I haven't shown off manuals, there's the manual right there for Sonic 2. I think the only thing that this is missing is probably the poster. But posters are inconsequential. God, I hate this game. Spider-Man the X-Men Arcade's Revenge. If there was an X-Men game and Spider-Man game combined that AVGN needed to rip on, this is it. And I'll just say this: I hate the old school Cyclops. I prefer what he looked like in the cartoon, and currently he just looked like a total dork with the old costume. Mainly because Wolverine's second level's ass hard. Storm's first level is completely insane. It's just not that good of a game. Oh, instruction booklet. And something hyping all the classic Sega classic titles like Joe Montana Football, Shadow Dance, The Secret of Shinobi, Revenge of Shinobi. Sorry about that, I had a phone call. Where was I? Oh yeah, Spider-Man Arcade's Revenge, a pathetic game. Have the insert here for the classic collection, I guess. Joe Montana Football, Shadow Dancer, Secret of Shinobi, Golden Axe, Revenge of Shinobi, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker on the back. Not really a fan of Moonwalker. The sports titles are good. James Buster Douglas, Knockout Boxing, Joe Montana Football, Pat Riley Basketball, Orange Pumble Golf, World Championship Soccer, which I have. Tommy Lasorda Baseball and Super Monaco GP. Also classic RPGs in Phantasy Star 2 and 3, which is also really good as well. And they say look for the classic blue box before they went to the solid red Genesis logo. Whatever you do, don't pick up that game. It is really terrible. Okay, rant time. Toy Story. This isn't about the game itself because the game itself is okay. It's about the box. I really hate the way Genesis made their boxes after 1994. Some of them did have the... I mean, what's wrong with this style of box? I mean, this is good. You have a hardcover box to protect your game. There's a place to put their game, and there's a place to put their manual and everything. And also throw a little insert like for the hockey news for NHL 96. Kind of wish this was NHL 94, but then again, I'm not going to complain because it's still an okay hockey game. However, with a box like this is more confusing because you have to not only open up a slip, but then you have to... But then you have your cartridge like this. Then you have to take out the cartridge. You have to put this back into the slip cover. And then you have to take the paper, cheap manual and try to slide it back in. Cover the top, and there you go. Now, this is why I hate these covers more than the plastic ones, because more often than not, when you get your Genesis and they just want the game, they just throw this away. That means this goes away along with the manual. kind of nitpicking, but I hate... Oh, I should put Toy Story back in here. Don't know why, but I also have it for the Super Nintendo as well. NBA Jam Tournament Edition, nothing much else can be said. Super Nintendo has better audio, but Genesis version has the better gameplay. Ranger X, it's an okay game, haven't played much into it. You also get like a consumer reply card for Sega of America, which I find interesting. Just tells you where you got your game, what game it is, and all that fun stuff. And plus you get plus you get issues of like Visions magazine, whatever that is. Goofy's Hysterical History Tour, Gorsh, as it says on the back. You face off against Pete, and basically it's like Goof Troop in video game form, except it's not called Goof Troop. It's an okay game, just takes some getting used to the controls. However, Corn Shack, if you're watching this, and if you plan on doing Disney month of December, this might be a title for you to check out. Yeah, let's get these three out of the way. Royal Rumble, Raw, and WrestleMania the arcade game. These two games are great. For the Royal Rumble version, you also have different characters than there are in the Super Nintendo version. In this game, the exclusive characters are Hulk Hogan, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the model Rick Martel, Papa Shango, and IRS, whereas the Super Nintendo version had Mr. Perfect, Tatanka, Ric Flair, Yokozuna, and $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. Raw had all the same characters from the Super Nintendo title, however, the music is much better, and sound effects are much better as well. I prefer Royal Rumble over to Raw, but both these are good. WrestleMania the arcade game is just pure. I really don't get the appeal of this game at all. I guess it's better because there are actually 8 characters instead of the 6 you got in the Super Nintendo version. Yay! I'll just read the back for you. Take WWF Wrestling to the extreme with intense action straight from the arcade smash. It really wasn't an arcade smash. It's one of the... If you ever watch the... There's a video on YouTube. Ripped from a Coliseum home video. It's how this game was made, about Bret Hart actually, and this was also decked into WrestleCrap. About how the game was made and the annoyance of frickin' Todd Pettengill. However, then again, after listening to Monday Night Raw and listening to Michael Cole's horseshit commentary, I kind of gained a newfound appreciation for Todd Pettengill. At least he didn't go out of his way to suck. Oh, what else? We got 6 more games. Where do I start? Animaniacs from Konami. This is much better than the Super Nintendo version. I personally think this should have got more recognition than I did. Probably one of the best licensed games out there. I also like the end boss where you face off against Pinky in the Brain and try to run away from frickin' the hippo-looking boss that is the security guard. Aladdin for the Genesis, I prefer the Super Nintendo version. However, this game is fun as well, even though I hate the lame box version, the lame box. Not much can be said about this one. It is a really good game. For those who want to have a Mahjong fix, pick up Shanghai 2 Dragon's Eye. If you have the mouse, you can play with it as well. With the mouse, makes it easier. And it's all there is. It's just Mahjong. And anticipate your opponent's moves to slay the dragon. I guess there's a competition mode on Mahjong. I don't know either. Old school Genesis title, Home Alone. Never really played much of the Home Alone. Not really a big fan of it. Could do a lot worse though. NCAA football, I gotta be honest, I'm not a big fan of college football right now, especially with all the scandals that's been going on with Miami, Florida. Talk about the Gators, not the Miami, Florida in general. However, it seems to have a lot of controversy swirling around it, with the Heat being as hated as they are, thanks to the big three over there in LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. Even though Dwayne Wade shouldn't be as hated as he is, because he's actually the only one of those three that actually did stay in his hometown and didn't have a decision and all that stuff. I give Bosh is fine though, because I guess the only one that's really hated is LeBron. All the hate that LeBron gets kind of rubs off on Wade and Bosh. But when it comes to this game, I don't know if you could actually find Craig James in here, but if you could find a way to kill him in this game, and if somebody can find a video, that'd be most appreciated. Fucking scumbag. I agree with 670 scores from Chicago, Dan Bernstein. Bad things need to happen to Craig James. As a matter of fact, for Craig James, he's now on the Mount Rushmore of AwfulAnnouncing.com, along with Pam Ward, Dick Vitale, and I think Tim McCarver is up there as well. Craig James replaced Joe Morgan. Actually, the finals was between Joe Buck and Craig James, but then if we're just on basic broadcasting ability, Buck in a rout. But thanks to the scandal-ridden stuff he had with SMU, and the fact that he fabricated a lot of his story against Mike Leach, the former Texas A&M football head coach, who I think Mike Leach is now taking over. I think he took over the University of Washington or Wazoo's football team, which is fine. But bad things need to happen to Craig James. Finally, the last RBI baseball there was released in America, I do believe. RBI Baseball 94. What I like about this game is, if you play a two-player, you're fine. If you play one player, you're going to get routed. Love these. The manuals are good, especially these old-style manuals. Also, to wrap this up, you get this nice-looking poster. The posters are often amazing that you get with them. These big, honking posters. On one side, you have the game itself. I'll just scroll up for it right here. RBI Baseball 94. And then on the back, there's a lot of hype for the games released by Tengen. Stuff like Dick Vitale, yeah baby! Awesome College Hoops. Road Rash 2, which is really a great game. I think that was released in EA. And there was a version for the Game Gear, I don't know why. Other games, Desert Strike, great game. PGA Tour Golf for the Game Gear. Awesome Possum was okay. Soulstar, and especially Grindstormer, Prince of Persia, and Gauntlet 4 down there. I don't know how many games I went through. That's probably around 50 titles. I'm getting some more in the mail shortly, probably in the next week. I'll probably do a video about those. If you like this, if you like me going through my collection, just explaining a lot of them, leave a comment or get a hold of me in some way, shape, or form, and you'd like to see more of them, I will try to do a vlog, I think this weekend, on the departure of Dick Clark. So until then, thanks for watching, and I got a lot of crap I gotta put away. Bye, everyone.